An attitude. Are they back?
Shout out Reed Schilling.
Are they big back? Oh! Hello and welcome to your 25th ranked baseball team, your Washington Nationals. Hey, first in stolen bases last year. All right. How do you like that? Otherwise, they finished 71 and 91. That was fourth in the National League East. 24 games back of the division. They missed the postseason. Hey, last year they were ranked 28th in our rankings, your guys' rankings. This year they're up to 25, and that's because, man, potential. Potential is happening in the nation's capital and with the baseball team, too. Let's get into the Direct TV, transforming your baseball watching experience. Head to directtv.com to learn more. Rewind. Trev, who's out?
I'm going to go with who they added.
Why don't we do who's in?
Let's do it with who's in, because it's kind of a lot more than I actually remembered from from the days of the off season, Jake, as we're in the season. They signed Mike Soroka to a 1-year, $9 million deal, coming off a year where it was pretty good in Chicago, considering what the heck was going on there last year. Shinosuke Agasawara comes over, 2 years, $3.5 million deal. He was in the NPB last year. 3.12 ERA and 144 innings pitched. He's a lefty. We'll see where he slots into the rotation, but that's a nice little sign for them. Josh Bell comes over, got a little bit of power, 1 year, $6 million deal for him. Jorge Lopez, relief pitcher, comes over. Ahmed Rosario comes over. Also, they traded for our guy, early settler, Nathaniel Lowe.
Yeah.
Nathaniel Lowe worked on the docks and brought fish in for the villagers.
Yes.
If you remember correctly. Andrew Kisner, Connor Pilkington are both here on minor league deals, and Evan Reifert came over as a Rule 5 pick. They also re-signed Talking Baseball old school legend. Maybe he was a sequence guy too. Trevor Williams to a 2-year, $14 million deal. So all in all, they've made a ton of moves and added to a team that already had some young, exciting players to it, Jake. Who did they lose, though?
So they lost some bullpen pieces, which I'm going to be interested in myself to see how much we harp on this. Tanner Rainey, who had pitched in some big games for them. Robert Garcia was the part out for Nathaniel Lowe. Kyle Finnegan is currently not on the Nationals. Jacob Barnes. Joey Gallo. See, at the end of the Patrick Corbin era, did you know? Joey Meneses, another Talking Baseball guy, he's out. Ildemaro Vargas, sure. Parts in, parts out. I guess it feels like they won the parts in game. And that's before you even get to the young talent that's in this Nationals lineup.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. Again, we're getting this from Fangraphs. They have C.J. Abrams at the top playing shortstop. He had kind of a weird end to the year. I still believe in some C.J. Abrams. People that watched the Nationals all year last year told me, you got to look at the defense a little closer, Trev. So I understand. But all in all, I think he still has plenty of upside. Dylan Cruz is a guy probably we're going to talk about a bunch here. He'll be manning right field. James Wood, another guy we'll talk a ton about. He'll be in left field. Nathaniel Lowe, first base. Josh Bell, DH. Luis Garcia Jr., that's your guy at second base. I call him Keibert Ruiz, but I think it's Keibert Ruiz behind the dish. Third base, Jose Tena. There's no tilde or a cento.
I thought there was a tilde.
Okay, well, not on our sheet. Jacob Young in center field. Riley Adams, backup catcher. Alex Call, outfielder. Ahmed Rosario will be a utility guy. And then Juan Yepes, first base DH. Some names to watch. Andres Chaparro, Stone Garrett, Talking Baseball legend. Robert Hassel III, Talking Baseball legend. And also Trey Lipscomb, Talking Baseball legend. So they got some guys that you know. What about the bullpen or the rotation of the bullpen?
It's interesting. Mackenzie Gore, a name we've heard around baseball for a while, heading up that rotation. Jake Irvin threw a lot of good innings. He'll be there. Trevor Williams, you mentioned, Talkin Baseball legend. Michael Soroka found some stuff in the pen last year. Will that translate to starting? Mitchell Parker and DJ Hurts, the young lefties. And yeah, we're 6-man rotation, some depth peaches. Your guy, Ogasawara, am I getting that right? Doesn't sound like it. Sure doesn't.
No.
Cade Cavalli's a prospect that should get some run for them. And then in the bullpen, Jorge Lopez, Selacqua. Derek Law is back there, threw 90 innings last year. Jose Ferrer, Salazar. I'll be honest, the bullpen is one of the least flashy I've seen so far. But that's probably not what's going to decide the season for these Nationals, who have so much young talent in their lineup. And a lot of pitchers that have shown something at the major league level in the rotation. I guess when I throw the Nats at you, Trev, where do you jump?
It's where I always go, Jake, the young dudes and kind of the future. Obviously, they've been able to draft, decently high, and they've been hitting on their draft picks as of late. Again, they have the number 1 pick in the 2025 draft. So Ethan Holiday most likely will be joining the ranks of, a guy like a James Wood, a guy like a Dylan Cruz, guys that are very obviously highly drafted, highly touted. James Wood got drafted by the Padres. Excuse me. I think that's where you start with this team. How good can this outfield be? We recently had an episode of Talking Baseball where we talked about Dylan Cruz being that breakout kind of candidate. Can he win Rookie of the Year? High floor type player, a guy that can run and play defense with the best of them. Will the bat translate to make him an elite player in the game? That's what, as simple as it sounds, Jake, that's what makes or breaks franchises, essentially, or seasons, I guess, if you will. If you have young guys who are making the league minimum come up and establish themselves as better than average or even all-star players, that's where you start to go. You sprinkle in some free agents, and then you become a real threat to win it all. So that's where we have to look. Can James Wood capitalize on the year that he had last year? 781 OPS and 295 at bats. A guy that hits the ball as hard as anybody. A guy that can go down. He can run just as fast as anybody. Like, the talent is there with the young players. I think that's where you have to start with this team. Like, where do those guys go? Is it continuing to push forward in their development and becoming what the Nationals hope is, and that's superstars, or do they not? And if that doesn't happen, then I think then it could be a long year.
Yeah, you're right that sometimes breaking it down simply, it's like, well, Dylan Cruz, the number 2 pick in the draft. If he's a star, that changes the Nationals' outlook.
It really is. That's not.
I know. I know, and it's the same with James Wood, and it's the same with, Luis Garcia, Jacob Young are other parts of this young core that it's, okay, do you have more in the tank? Do you have that in the tank, or do you have less in the tank? And I think it's pretty cool that you can look at this Nationals lineup. CJ Abrams is almost post-hype at this point at 24 years old. Like, the top 3 in their lineup are listed Abrams, Cruz, Wood, and if that clicks, man, get ready for some serious natitude. I love the Nathaniel Lowe trade. How consistent that guy is. And like, Luis Garcia has become consistent. Jacob Young, in theory, if he can catch and run like he has, that there's a lot of stable parts in this lineup, in theory. Baseball always rears its ugly head in a way. That I guess I'm starting to get nervous about the pitching. Like, I feel like I would check in with the Nationals last year, and now Fangraphs has upgraded to their projected stats. But I'd be like, okay, Jake Irvin, that's major league quality. Oh, okay, Parker, okay, whoever. I guess as we go team by team and we look at these rotations, I guess Mackenzie Gore, this guy has the pedigree. In 32 starts last year, he had a 3.9, a 1.4 whip, and hey, let's build on that and get better. I guess I was expecting to look at the rotation, the old college football adage, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. Like I saw that they were, they might go 6-man rotation and we got guys battling for a spot. I'm not sure that's a great thing. And I guess when I was going to look at this Nationals roster, I was going to be hyped coming in, but it feels like they're giving it another year to see what these young guys have. And then maybe they're going to reinvest that Patrick Corbin money, or they're, let Ethan Holiday get a step closer to the big leagues. Because especially when we zoom out to the scope of the NL East, I just don't, even if the young guys offensively click, I don't think they're going to have the horses to keep up.
I think you hear in our voices that is, I feel the exact same way as you. We're like, okay, I got to pause a little bit because
right?
we're trying.
I thought it was going to be more hype.
I want to hype teams up, but I really feel like that's kind of like doing a disservice. I try to be as objective as possible. And in my head, yeah, you kind of get behind this hype train. We knew Patrick Corbin was coming off the books. They did add people, and like, okay, like they're adding to the roster. But yes, when you do zoom out and you say, well, what division do they play in? Obviously, the National League is stacked. Where do they sit? I don't think they're the 25th best team, or I guess considered, what was that, the 5th worst team in baseball. I don't think that they're there, but I also don't think that they've necessarily hit their window of true contention yet. And I thought maybe this would be the year. And maybe they'll still add, and maybe there's some prospects that we're missing that are going to come up and be guys. But as the roster sits right now, they're going to be fun. I called for it last year. I said, there's guys to watch on this team that you got to be happy for a Nationals fan. Go check them out. I kind of feel the same way a year later. Not much has changed. I don't think there's been a massive jump in like what I expect out of this Nationals team, and I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I guess you're hearing a little confusion in our voices, because I think that's what, because like, okay, I'm looking at Mitchell Parker, 29 games, a 4.29 ERA. You're like, okay, for a 24-year-old pitcher, that's good. I mean, it came in as under 1 WAR. His ERA plus is under 100. So you can kind of do the same thing with DJ Hertz. That I don't know. And then, okay, we look at teams and it's like, what is your strength? What are things you can rely on? This bullpen, man, I got to be honest, I'm a little nervous. Like it's if there's a part on your team that it's okay to be nervous about, it is the bullpen. Go back to the Texas Rangers. Go back, people forget that Braves team. People forget that Braves team's bullpen had questions until they solidified in the postseason and came together. So if there's a place, especially for a young baseball team, that you don't need to be overinvested, it is the bullpen. But looking at Jorge Lopez, Derek Law, and Jose Ferrer fighting for the closer gig, I'm not super juiced about that. And then when I tie that in with, I'm not sure where I'm going with the young starters. I don't know. I guess in my head, all off season long, it's like, hey, the Nats have young starters who are doing it at the MLB level. I guess in hindsight, it's like, okay, these guys did it at a very close to maybe league average, if not a tick below league average. And when you're in preseason hype mode, it's hard to be like, let's hit hyperdrive. Like that's not what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Like I said before, everyone needs to take a step forward. We could be sitting back at the end of the year being like, all right, that was like, we were a little down on them and we were wrong. But I think it's the appropriate, kind of stance to have. Right now, Zips has the best WAR coming from their team as Dylan Cruz at a 3.0. And that's, look, I know he's going to rack up WAR because of what he does with the legs and the glove, but he's also a rookie, and it's if that's going to be your guy,
right?
And obviously James Wood can do it, but right now they're projecting 2.8 WAR out of left field and what he's going to bring to the table. I think a lot of that has to do with his negative defense. Both those guys can come out and have 6 WAR seasons and just absolutely tear the cover off the ball, and that's what would be wrong. And that's what I'm saying. Like I wanted to be hyped. coming in. I'm not so hyped now, as I think everyone can tell if you're listening to this episode. I think there's a wide range of what can happen with this team. Like we could.
Yes.
I think the floor is pretty low, and I don't know necessarily this year how high the ceiling is. I was expecting to jump to a new tier of teams, and now I'm thinking A's versus Nationals. Who are you rocking with? Our listeners peg the Nationals above the A's, but I think I was a little more excited talking about the A's than the Nationals. And if you're a Nationals fan, hearing me say that's probably bumming you out a little bit.
A little bit, but it goes back to the discussion we had on the A's with, there's that like the A's core 4 posted, and we were like, okay, like I don't know, Butler, Blade, Langeliers, and Rooker. Like, okay, I can bank on Rookers. I think I can bank on Butler. Abrams been doing it at the big league level, although it ended with a couple question marks at the end. Wood seems prime. Cruz seems prime. Nathaniel Lowe seems stable as all hell, but could the Oakland 4 outplay those guys? Absolutely. And then for Oakland, I got Mason Miller on the back end to start. And we talked about some of the dudes in their rotation that have a little more of an MLB pedigree. It's the range is where you nailed it, Trev, because everything on paper says that the leap or another step should happen. Like, I don't know if it's Hertz, Parker, or Irvin takes another step to get better, but that should happen. And I just don't know which one. Does Mackenzie Gore have another gear? Probably could. This was a 3rd overall pick, like top prospect who put together a very solid season last year. It's just when you start going around the whole roster and you're doing that, sometimes it comes together. And maybe we're talking about the Nats all year long. A lot of times it doesn't. And I guess this was a team that I was fighting for Bregman or Alonso, who, as we record this, still aren't signed. But it almost feels like the Nats front office went to the drawing board and was like, hey, do we think it starts this year? And I think they didn't think that. I think they think it starts next year, and you're going to see them go invest in starting pitching in whatever hole is left on their roster. And maybe that's the right move. I guess maybe we're horribly wrong. I thought I would be more hyped. Sorry, Nats fans.
We do what we do. We're checking the roster out. We talk how we talk. It's I hope we're wrong. How about that? Because I do want to get hyped for this team. I talked to my good chef buddy Reed Schilling. Go check out Canning Schilling Co. if you're in the area. And he wants to get hyped about the team, and I'm sorry, I can't get there right now.
Yeah, hey. Lowest batting average in non-2 strike accounts, so let's work on that. Struck out on 30% of pitches outside of the zone. That was the lowest in the NL, so let's control the zone. Some good spring training isms. Mackenzie Gore, 1.24 OPS when behind in the count. That was 5th worst, so let's just get ahead in the count. First pitch strike for Mackenzie Gore, and we're good. What was that?
I got a guy that I think I like.
Okay.
I really just prospects are not my thing. I check their pictures out, and I can kind of tell if you're a guy.
Yeah.
And obviously he's a top prospect. Brady House.
Yeah.
Okay, 3rd base prospect. Let me check out some stuff. One second. Okay. There's some things that I like. I like the size there. I also like the nickname. I could see us being like the doctor making house calls.
Sure. Why not?
Hit some homers.
Yeah.
I could see that. Come on, Brady. Get me hyped up.
Put it on him. Hey, National fans, maybe this is what you need to know. We're rooting for it. Like this.
Brady House had a 655 OPS, and he was 21 in Rochester. Been there, bro. I was 21 in Rochester too. I get it.
What would you?
Not an easy league to hit in.
Take a look at my life. I'm a lot like you are. What would you tell him to do in Rochester?
Oh, so much, dude.
Yeah.
Go to Good Luck. Like Dinosaur Barbecue is great. You got to go there. Yeah. There's one in Syracuse too. A couple other places. I think it's called the Brown Hound. There's like a little breakfast spot inside the museum. I would go there. Check out like the Finger Lakes. I don't know.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Josiah Gray out for 2025, but we like him a lot and he's a nice guy. All right. I mean, I didn't think it'd go.
I know, a little bit of buzzkill.
That's crazy. Damn, dude. Let's get to the over-under, brought to you by DraftKings. And if you're an NBA person, the season is rolling, and we are too at the DraftKings Sportsbook, our friends, our partners. Right now, all new customers who bet just $5 will get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you use code Talkin. From monster slams to dishing the rock to cleaning the glass, get behind your favorite players and the prop bets you can make on DraftKings, the home of NBA player props. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use code TALKIN. Bet just $5 on any wager. Get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code TALKIN only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Where we at, Coach?
We are, DraftKings has us over under 71.5.
Okay.
71 on the hook. I think this is one where we should go on 3 because I think I think it's a good number. Last year they won 71 games, so did they get one game better?
It is a good line, and again, I think if you're confused by our energy on this show, this is the same line as the Angels and the A's, which I think mentally for what I was hoping for the Nats, but Vegas, who doesn't mess around with their coin. Okay, let me look at one thing.
What are you looking at?
71 and 91 last year. The Phillies were kind of the Phillies. The Braves weren't exactly the Braves. The Mets were good.
They got better.
Stolen bases. Can the pitching be better? The hitting should be. I have my answer.
I don't, but I'm gonna say
you're just gonna let your instinct Jesus take the wheel?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hold on, Robbie. How many overs? How many unders do I have so far?
Here we go.
How many overs under? You got one over, one under. Under, over. So you got 1, 2.
Not a math guy, Robbie Rocco. Welcome to the show.
Never been.
4. You got 4 over right now.
And 1 under?
And 1 under. With the Angels.
And 3.
Oh, and
2. 1.
2 unders. You've got under. 2 unders.
Oh, the same. 1, 2, 3.
Under.
Over. Under. I'm going to go under. I don't know why. I'm not really sure why. I think that's a really good line. It's like I would not sprinkle any money on this. The potential to
win
75, 76 games is 1,000% there. The potential to win 67 to 68 games is 1,000% there. How is that for percentages?
That's great. Yeah.
I just pick under?
The joke I was you said under.
Okay.
Last chance.
I'll stay there.
I decided to go under 2, and I regret it. The joke I was gonna make is I was gonna say I see 71 and 91 again. Like I think I think it looks different, but that division's really good, and for that pitching to hold up, and then are we trading at the deadline and all that stuff? I hope National fans. I hope it's very wrong. I hope these Nats are.
Yeah, tell us why we should not be this down.
I hope they are one of the stories of baseball this year with all of this young talent. I'm flipping to the over. Give me 72 wins. Yeah, you're out. You're out. Right. You're out. Yeah. Wow, excited to read the comments on this one. Let us know. And if you're ready to transform your baseball watching experience, head to directtv.com to learn